Hello and welcome back to We Food Hard. Today we're going to be making French bread pizzas. So my goal today is to inspire a little bit of creativity and to show how easy it is to make French bread pizzas at home. And it actually turns out to be cheaper than buying frozen ones from the store. So first of all, I just want to touch on the flavor that we're going to be able to create making these ourselves is going to blow away anything that you find at your local grocery store in the freezer. I can promise you that. So I found these French bread pizzas at my local grocery store, and I broke them down and price-wise, and they come out to be $1.75 per serving. So I also did the math on what it would cost to make homemade French bread pizza, and it turns out to be $1.61 per serving or $3.22 for two servings, and that's with all my ingredients. So we're 28 cents cheaper making it ourselves, and we're using way better ingredients. Since we know that it's cheaper to do it ourselves, and I'm just going to take a shot in the dark here and say it's going to taste way better as well, we need to touch on cook time. Now, in order to cook these frozen French bread pizzas, it says the oven has to be 375 degrees and it's going to take 24 minutes. Personally, I don't care how fast the microwave works. Let's not put pizza in there. So when I was testing out this recipe, I found it took 8 minutes at 425 degrees in my Ninja Foodie digital air fry oven to get these French bread pizzas cooked the way that I like them. Now, this recipe will work in most air fryers. The only limitation that you're going to run into is how many slices of bread you could fit in at one time. Okay, so in order to get our French bread pizza started, I have to get my bread ready. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my French loaf in half twice so that it's at the length that I like, and then the soft inside of the bread is exposed. Okay, so now that we have our bread cut, we have about 8 sections. Now we had 2 mini loaves. If you have one big loaf, cut it to the pieces that you're comfortable with. My sections are about 4 inches long. You're just going to be at the mercy of how thick your bread is for thickness here. So the next step that we have in making our French bread pizza is going to be our pizza sauce, and we're going to make that from scratch. So I'll show you how that's done right now. Okay, so at the beginning of the video, I said I wanted to test how easy it was to make these French bread pizzas. This sauce is no exception. So this is just going to be a really simple no-cook pizza sauce. It's literally going to take 30 seconds to stir and mix everything together here. So I'll walk you really quickly through what I'm using for this sauce, and then we'll walk through our actual pizza ingredients. So I have 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes, and I actually found some fire roasted ones that I thought would be fun to try out. So we're going to be using fire roasted, but you could just use the regular crushed tomatoes. They don't have to have any flavor to them. I have 6 ounces of tomato paste that I'm going to put in there. I have 1 teaspoon of dried oregano. I have a half a teaspoon of dried basil. I have 1 teaspoon of sea salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to dump them all into the same bowl here. I'm going to carefully mix them together, and then our pizza sauce is done. So let's get started. Okay, so now that all of our ingredients are thoroughly incorporated into our sauce, and you can see that this sauce is a little bit thicker here, and that comes from adding that tomato paste. Now, obviously, I'm not cooking this sauce and simmering it so that it reduces. I put that tomato paste in there to thicken it up because using just a can of crushed tomatoes, I find it to be a little bit looser than I like for a pizza sauce. But this sauce is ready. We can top these immediately, or if you're not planning on making your pizza right away, throwing it in the fridge actually helps bring the flavors together. So you can let it sit for an hour or two or even overnight, and you're going to have some really great tasting pizza sauce. But it also tastes good just straight out of the bowl here. Okay, so now that our bread is cut, our pizza sauce is made, I'll just walk you really quickly through the rest of the ingredients we have for the French bread pizzas. So I have some full-fat, low-moisture mozzarella cheese that I shredded myself. I have some pepperoni, and then I have some jalapeno that I cut into matchsticks and then diced into some small chunks here. Now I'm going to be building 3 different French bread pizzas today. Just a standard cheese, a cheese and pepperoni, and then a cheese, pepperoni, and jalapeno, just to kind of show that you can get as creative as you want or as plain as you want. It doesn't really matter. I will actually link the description in the description below. The amounts I'm using here, we're talking very little ingredients because we don't want to overcrowd these pizzas here. So without further ado, let's get these things built. Okay, so now that our pizzas are done being built, I'm going to get them transferred over to our sheet pan here, and that's going to go in our Ninja Foodi digital air fry oven at 425 degrees for about 8 minutes. Now, I'm going to be watching for the cheese to melt out nicely, get that nice golden brown, but I also want to make sure, since its bread is already cooked, that it's not burning to a crisp here. So I'm going to keep my eye on that. I'll let you know if there's any time variation here, but like I said, when I was testing this recipe, it took about 8 minutes to get them how I liked them. Now, we're doing this in a Ninja air fryer, but if you don't have a Ninja air fryer, you could still do this. Like I said earlier, it's just a matter of how many pieces of bread you can fit into your air fryer at one time. So we'll get these things cooked and we'll see you when they're done. Okay, so our French bread pizzas just got out of the air fry oven, and let me just get you a really quick look at this before I start talking about them. Look how beautiful these things look. These are homemade French bread pizzas. You know, the actual bread itself is starting to burn a little bit around the edges, but it has a nice golden brown. The cheese is browned perfectly on all of them. They did cook in the air fryer for 8 minutes at 425 degrees. I think they came out really well, but like I said, the cheese looks great. The pepperonis are super crisp looking, and even my my pizza with the jalapeno on it, the jalapenos are starting to break down a little bit, and that gives it some really great flavor. And all this took less time than it would have taken to cook the frozen one in an oven. Okay, so not only is it cheaper, not only is it faster, but I'm sure it's going to taste great too. So before I cut into it, I just want to say thank you for watching this. If you found this video to be helpful, please share it with someone. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please make sure you do. And don't forget, work hard, food harder. Oh yeah, definitely some good crunch to that bread. Look at this guy here. Sauce, cheese, jalapeno. Mm. Mm. That sauce, for as fast as it is, it tastes awesome. It has some great flavor. Like I said, the cheese and that jalapeno really brings this whole thing together. This is my type of pizza. These other two were just a test, but thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.